Now tell me something, Shatha. I mean, you're in a senior position now, the country managing director. That means in your journey, you must have faced some biases.
Yes.
What kinds of biases did Shatha have to face?
There's lots of biases. Are we talking internally or externally?
Both.
Okay. I'll start. See, internally, you also have to invest in your relationships. And I tell this to every woman, that men are actually very simple creatures. Especially in a dominated workplace. They're actually very simple. They're not difficult to please. They're very focused on numbers. They're very focused on just get it done. They don't want to beat around the bush. They don't want too much information. Either you can do it, you can't do it. There's a lot of things. But men will take a woman on his shoulders and even on top of his head the minute he thinks she adds value to the business. We don't want to beat around the bush. We don't want to see what else you can offer. All the softer, things that are not tangible doesn't excite them as much as tangible results. So if you say, hey, I got my foot in the door, I managed to get a meeting with this board member who we've been trying to meet, all the men will be very supportive, But if you tell a story and say, listen, there's some challenges, and they're like, oh, I don't want to hear this, Externally, of course, there was a lot of bias. First of all, for me, I guess I looked too young. I was 33 when I became an MD, or 32. So, and I think with my looks, I did not look as old as I should. In our part of the world, if you're an MD, you're a partner, you need to look very senior. And so that I felt I was not necessarily getting the respect that I was hoping to get. But I said, you know what, this is also my job now to earn that respect and, present what is inside my head, instead of going in with my job title, I just need to show up with my brains and present to the client what I have to offer. And I could say that, it's been a pleasure because many did not expect, I don't know. I think part of the plus point was me coming from the US. It helped a lot. So when they know that I worked in the US, suddenly there's a huge shift. And I don't like doing that, but I felt like I had to do that. So they were like, where were you before Protiviti? And I was like, I was with PwC in the US. Then you can see people are taking a few steps back and saying, okay, let's listen to what she has to say. So for me, I focused a lot on my technical capabilities to earn that trust and that bias that, oh, she's a woman, she can't be technical. Oh, she's a woman, she can't be in the space of IT. She won't understand internal audit, or she won't understand finance. It's too technical for her, So when I had those conversations, actually, I think in my first 2-3 years, that's all I was doing, just building relationships. I was not focused on anything else but building relationships. And they said, oh, we don't know who you are anymore, because you come in one day to discuss internal audit, the next day corporate governance, the next day finance optimization. And I said, it's because I've done all this work. It's not, I'm not the expert, the deep rooted expert, but I am a generalist and I know what I'm talking about, and I know who to bring on board to solve your problems.
Very nice. And I think, there's a beautiful book which has come out called Range, right? How generalists survive in a specialist world.
Yeah.
So it's all about knowing everything, the peripheral intelligence, right? Wonderful. That's very nice to hear, Shatha. Very nice to hear. And the fact is, it's your competence as well as the connection that actually helped you to thrive as well. Very nice.
Yeah, I think one important thing is ego. I don't have ego. We all have some ego, and we always say that some ego is healthy to drive us, but I don't let my ego overtake my sensibilities. Sometimes I can tell you a little incident that happened not long ago. So we were having a conversation. It sounded like the person that we were selling the solution to, he's an elderly man. He was a bit stubborn. I don't think what he was saying was wrong, but it was a bit annoying maybe. And so it was me dealing with him and Mike, another gentleman. The other gentleman just started getting irritated, and he's my colleague, but he was really getting irritated. And I was trying to tell him on the side note, I was just like, just let it go. Just let it go. There's no need. He says, no, he's asking for unreasonable. And yes, it sounds unreasonable if you don't handle the client the right way. And I knew it was all coming from a place of ego. Suddenly the two guys, their egos were, starting to battle each other. They were clashing. And I just jumped in and I said, listen, and I called the client by his name. And I said, sir, I just want to let you know that if it takes one workshop or 10 or 20, we'll do it. I said, but if it takes 10 or 20 workshops to satisfy you, then we're not the right people. And so he said, so what are you suggesting? I said, I'm not suggesting anything, but I believe 1 or 2 workshops and we'll be done. We will solve your problems. And, the whole demeanor of the gentleman changed. He started laughing and he said, I love your confidence. That's all he said. I love your confidence. And I said, I am confident because, we're obviously pitching for something that we're very comfortable to do. Right. And I think we're also good at influencing all your team to understand what are we trying to solve here. If it takes me 10 workshops to do that, there's either a problem on my side or there's a problem on your side. And I don't think we have problems. And he completely changed. I mean, it was just that one incident of making him feel like the most important man in the room. And he may not necessarily be the most important man in the room. But I told my colleague said, I'm out. I don't want to deal with this person. I said, leave him to me. He said, this is high risk, and all that. And I said, don't worry about it. I will handle him.
But tell me something, Shatha. I mean, this is a wonderful anecdote that you're telling me. How did you build that level of emotional maturity?
I think we as women, we're gifted. I've not been through any course or anything, but I've done a lot of reading. And I don't think the reading necessarily, I didn't read to develop a skill set as much as to reflect and see, okay, this is an interesting point. And I would say half the time I've read stuff and I said, oh, I do this all the time. So this feels good. It's reassuring. And I think maybe being an empath, I am an empath and I'm an introvert. And I think I'm a strong observer. And I think when you can take the time to have empathy and observe and be a good listener, your emotional intelligence, obviously, you can exercise those muscles much better than someone who doesn't have those characteristics.